Thanks for joining me in Mrs. Lavoie's classroom. Just a reminder, the ABA tips and tricks I share here are for educational use only and are not a replacement for professional behavioral services. Always consult with your own BCBA or healthcare provider for personalized advice. Let's get started.
You know that feeling, the dread that settles in your stomach because you're about to tell your child or a student it's time to get off the iPad or you have to present them with a math worksheet? You know exactly what's going to happen next. It's the same meltdown, the same struggle every single time. If you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells or waiting for the next explosion, this video is for you. We're gonna stop reacting to behavior and start preventing it. Hello friends, welcome back to Mrs. Lavoie's classroom. I am Mrs. Lavoie and today's topic is known triggers. We're going to explore how we use the principles of applied behavior analysis, or ABA, to handle those situations you know are going to cause challenging behavior so we can change the outcome before it even begins.
In the regular world, we call things that set people off triggers. In the ABA world, we call these antecedents. Behavior analysis relies on the ABC contingency. A is the antecedent, or what happens right before the behavior, or the trigger. B is the behavior, what the child actually does. And C is the consequence, or what happens right after.
Here's the hard truth. Most of us spend 90% of our energy reacting to the B, or the behavior, and trying to figure out the C, which is the consequence. But if we know the trigger, right? If we know that asking Johnny to put on his shoes always results in him flopping on the floor, why do we keep presenting the shoes the same exact way and hoping for a different result? To handle known triggers, we have to shift our focus from reacting to the behavior to modifying the antecedent. So we're going to change the setup. The first principle is what we call antecedent or environmental modification. This means changing the physical world around the child before the trigger occurs to make the behavior less likely to happen, right? If we know the trigger, we don't have to test it. We can smooth the path.
Let's look at some examples. In the first example, the trigger is a difficult academic task. So the modification might be cut the worksheet in half or do the first two problems together prior to having them do it by themselves. In the second example, we have the trigger as an extremely loud cafeteria. The modification might be offering noise-canceling headphones or even allowing this child to transition 5 minutes early so they get acclimated to the environment before it gets super loud. We aren't avoiding the task forever. We're just adjusting the environment so they can be successful. Our second strategy is called priming. Imagine if your boss walked in right now and said, "Drop everything. You have a massive presentation due in 10 minutes." You'd panic, right? Our kids often feel the same way when we spring demands on them, even routine ones. Priming is giving the brain a heads up so it can shift gears.
If you know transitioning off screens is a trigger, never do it suddenly. Use a visual timer so they can see the time is passing. "Hey Susie, I set a 5-minute timer. When timer beeps, it's time for snack." And then you're going to use something called a pre-correction. So before that timer hits 0, you're going to remind them of the expectation. So I do that about a minute before, right? So, "Hey buddy, the timer's almost up. Remember, timer beep, give iPad to mommy, get snack. You're reminding them of the right way to behave, right? Or how you'd like to see them behave before that meltdown happens.
And finally, the most important strategy, functional communication training, or FCT. Behavior is communication. If a child screams when you take away a toy, the scream means, I want that back, right? If we know the trigger will cause screaming, we need to teach them a better way to say the message before the screaming starts.
If you know a difficult demand is about to be a trigger for an escape behavior like running, flopping on the floor, prompt them right away to use their words or even a picture card that asks for a break, okay? If they ask for a break appropriately, give it to them. We want them to learn that using communication works faster and easier than using problem behavior. We have to empower them with a voice so they don't need behavior.
Parents and teachers, the biggest mistake I see, and I have made it myself, is falling into the reactive trap. We wait for the known trigger to cause the explosion, and then we try to manage the explosion. ABA Principles teaches us that it is vastly more effective and kinder to set the child up for success proactively, modifying the environment so the trigger isn't so intense. Prime them or prep them so they know what's coming, and give them a way to communicate their needs without resorting to challenging behavior.
Handling known triggers takes planning and patience, but it changes the dynamic from combative to collaboration. So keep up that hard work, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. For more ABA insights, make sure to subscribe and follow. See you next time.